going on, everybody? Kyle from Scram Speed. We are fresh off of Dragweek. Came back 2 weeks ago. I took 2 weeks off the car because I just needed a little break from her. Dragweek kind of, makes it so that way you live in the car for a week. So I'm fine with taking, a little bit of time off afterwards. But we're regrouping now, getting ready for Devin's race, the Street and Yeet in November. And yeah, we did good on Dragweek. The car won Super Street small block power adder by a really big margin. We averaged like a 780. Car exceeded my expectations by far. We didn't have any real big issues on the car at all during Dragweek. The literal only problem that we had all week long, honestly, was my flasher went bad in the car. I lost my turn signal flasher, and it was because of a Napa cheap, didn't quite ever work correctly, kind of went on and off sometimes, LED flasher that sucked. So replace that and voila, car's back to normal. But one thing I did have a problem with on Dragweek, on the last two passes, the car made a little bit more power than I ever expected. Trapped 183 at 3,400 pounds, so it was making like 1,500, 1,600 horsepower. And I seen a little bit of coolant pressure. So I'm gonna retorque these heads and hopefully we get through Devin's race before the end of the year. I'll take the engine apart. But I had a lot of questions on Dragweek. Everybody wanted to check out the car. I had a lot of people ask me about how's this work, how's that work, a little bit of everything. And I always try to answer everybody's questions to the best of my ability, and especially people online. But I'm gonna try to go over a couple things in the car over the next handful of videos and just how I set things up, how I made things easy for the drag and drive stuff. I took a lot of time and everything on this car to ensure that it came off easy and nothing was too much of a pain in the ass to do in a parking lot. So I was getting ready to, do the heads in the car. And when I do anything, I got to pull the intake off, and everything. And I took the throttle cable off and I was like, yep, I have to remove this completely out of the car because it's behind the dash. And I had a ton of people on Dragweek ask me about the interior of the car, saying that it was really nice. They liked the way it was planned out, and everything. And they really liked how the dash looked. And I was like, yeah, I got a video online on how we did the dash. And that's the flocking that we did on just a normal standard VFN dash. But I did the flocking on it and it was badass because it had no reflection whatsoever. It was really, really nice. I can turn some lights on for you, I guess, so maybe you guys can see it better. But I had people ask me, how'd you secure the dash? And it looks really, really clean. Everything's nice. You got a reflection, kind of a glare. You can't really see shit from the outside, but you got got a top piece that goes on there, and it fills it up and looks kind of like a bone stock dash. It's just coated different, other than the vents. Let me turn the ignition on real quick and give you guys some light here. So that's what the dash looks like. Yeah, it's flocked. It comes in and out of the car in like 30 seconds. And all of my electronics that aren't in the door, which this is all of the the ECU stuff, the Dominator, the smart wire, the injector driver for the injectors, all that kind of stuff is out here. But all of the chassis wiring is actually underneath the dash. The batteries right there. It's a Titan 8 from excess power, but all the other stuff's right in a panel right behind there. So if anything happens chassis-wise, like my flasher, I have to take the dash out of the car real quick. And I'll show you how I do that. It's really simple. I made it so that way, like I said, it can come out in a couple minutes. So the first thing I do, obviously take the steering wheel off because the dash has to come out. So throw that thing down. The shifter, precision shifter, is what we got in the car. I love this thing. I've had it, for a long time. It was the same one that was in my old setup. I got a key down here for a quick release. So you just pull that out. And then the shifter slides straight up out of its hole like that. And you literally just lay it in the passenger seat. And that gives you access to be able to pull the dash out of the car. The wiring on it itself is a single Deutsch right there. It's a big bulkhead style. You just literally twist it off, it disconnects. When you do that, it drops down the CAN bus, which is what I have to have for the digital dash. So I've actually done this a million times, so I can actually do it with one hand now. But disconnect the CAN bus like that, and that's it. The whole dash is disconnected with those two real quick. So now that's disconnected, steering wheel's off, shifter's out, it can physically be pulled out of the car. The only thing you got to clear is the steering column. Other than that, and it is pulled out by a single tool. which is right here in my pocket. It's just an Allen. It's a 5/32. I have two of them. One's here on this side and one's on the exact opposite side. So you pull these guys off. Here's the other one on the other side of the car. Yep, and that's it. That's the only actual screws that hold it in. It's just two on the sides here, and you'll see the mounting when I take it out of the car. The other two pieces that hold it in are these quick latches. There's one there, there's one right there. So all you gotta do is click this down, and it lifts up, and then click this, and it pulls back. And I'm gonna probably have to put the phone down real quick so that I can actually pull it out of the car, because it takes two hands, obviously. But that's it. That's the whole thing. Now you just gotta slide it out carefully to clear the steering column. Okay, so you see how fast it disconnects. It disconnects with just two screws, one on each side of the dash, and then two quick latches right in the middle. After you got that, you pretty much just gotta grab the middle of it, pull it out without trying to hit that steering column. That's really the only thing that's in the way. Just slide it back out. Be careful not to hurt that, because it is, after all, just a fiberglass dash. But it looks something like this. It's a lot easier with two people, by the way. But it can be done with one, because I don't always have a co-driver. But that's the dash out of the car. Comes out pretty quick, pretty easy. Just lay on a moving blanket. The back side of it, there's the Deutsch right there dangling out of it, but the back side of it, I'll flip it over here for you. So that's what the back side looks like. So you got the master inlet for the wires, comes through and then feeds off to, I got the Holley key, the map key, and then I got my 4 switches. Over here is just the race wire, turn signal switch wired up, and then the Holley dash. I still have a handful of pins that I could add if I ever needed to. I just leave them hanging out because I'm not sure what I ever wanted to go to, but leaving some options, since I kind of wanted to fill that guy up when I did this. But that's what the back side of the dash looks like. The front side of the dash, obviously it's a Holley 686 screen. I really like that thing. My buddy Aaron made me this 3D printed this like custom little bezel for it, so that way it fit real nice. It turned out super good. This is the race wires turn signal switch. Really like this piece. It's awesome. It worked great on Dragweek. It fits the car nice. The only issue I have with it is every time I get out of the car, I kind of hit that with my right foot when it comes out of the car. I sometimes turn that on, but the ignition's usually off when I get out of the car, so it's not a big deal. But I couldn't use the motion one because it was on the column, and I have to slide this up out of it. Obviously I can't have that if there's anything attached to the column. So to make it easier, I decided to go with that style versus motions. And it was an all-in-one, which is really nice, you know. And then over here I got, this is another piece from Race Wire. It is it's like, 2 PDMs, and it is the driver's up, driver's down window, passenger down window, and then my headlight up, headlight down, which is 2 just tied into 1 for each headlight. Still got power windows, still got power headlights. One thing I would not give up on my Trans Am was the cool flippy headlights. No matter how fast it gets, it's gonna have those. And then this is just, I didn't know what to put here, so it's just the flashers. We used it a couple times on Dragweek. Every time you stop on the side of the road, you wanna have flashers. And then obviously the Holley map key. But that's the dash itself, just a VFN unit that's kind of fancied up. Behind the dash, this is the inside of the race car. That's what it looks like. So I just built a panel that houses all of the stuff that's chassis related. It's all from Race Wire. This is just a fuse box that I have back there, super easy to access. And then I got my headlight and my window motor, all wired up. I also had to put the EGT box here. I was kind of running out of room, but that's how it's done. And I actually put it on some swivels right there on the chassis, so that way you can actually move this a little bit if you need to get back there, because obviously laying on the floor, this thing, super sucks to lay on the floor upside down and try to get behind this. And this doesn't actually come entirely out, it's tied in. But if you take those 2 screws loose, it does flip nearly completely flat, so that we can get to the back of it really easily. I just don't want to cut 15 zip ties to show you. So, but yeah, so that's just that little panel that floats in here, really nice. And behind it's all the wiring for the rest of the car. It's like my master big fuses for the car, battery. But that's what's behind the dash itself. The attachment points of the dash are right here. So this is the attachment point for the outside of the dash. It's a 3/8 tube. It's just welded onto a little plate and actually has like a Zeus style fastener that has a rivet nut on it. And that's just what I use. I didn't want to use Zeus's. It needed to be flush because the dash, you know, actually slides up against this, so it couldn't have any kind of, you know, rivet sticking out or anything like that. So I decided to use that. I really like them. They're just 1/4 20 thread sets. So it's got that one. There's one for the other side, obviously in the same exact spot. And then for the middle, for the quick latches, I built this one off of the dash itself. I just kind of had to adjust it so that way it's set right. I had to mock this up a handful of times to move this bar back and forth to make it sure it, you know, felt good and wasn't really in the way, and it attached at the right location. And there's the upper one. It's off the other dash bar. So it looks a bit like that, but that's the attachment point. So we got attachment point there, and the one on the left side of the car, the one on the right side of the car, and that's it. The top piece is held in with its own little standoffs. That's pretty much how it works. But that's what's behind the dash of the Trans Am. It's pretty simple. I made sure that it wasn't anything complex because obviously it has to be able to be serviced on the side of the highway. You know, we didn't have to take this off the car during drag week. We didn't have any wiring issues whatsoever with anything. So that was really good, but I'm sure eventually it's gonna happen. We wanna make sure it's serviceable when it does. So for anybody who was wondering how the dash works, that's how the dash works. And it's always easier for me to send you a link of a video versus answering people with, you know, paragraphs in the Facebook Messenger. So if you guys want to see anything else in the car, let me know, and I'll try to keep you guys updated on progress for the blue car and the next events it does and all that kind of stuff. So if you got any other questions on how anything else works, let me know. I'm going to get to taking the steering rod off and retorquing the heads and hopefully do good at street meet. So like and subscribe to Scram Speed's YouTube channel for more stuff on the blue car, and we'll see you later, guys.